If you are new to organizing hands-on workshops, here are some tips for things that you can do in advance to help ensure that the workshop runs smoothly. The first thing I would say is it's really important to make sure that you have some form of insurance. That's something that many people may not realize, because if you are teaching a process, whether wet felting or eco printing or some other form of craft project, you need to be clear that you have third-party insurance or workshop insurance. So if somebody has an accident, they slip, or something happens, you are covered. And many venues actually might require this insurance. And there are plenty of different companies that will cover you for this, but I urge you to be careful about that in advance of teaching. Then you're going to need to communicate clearly with your students before the workshop. You need to let them know what they need to bring with them, have a supply list, and give them recommendations of what clothing to wear, for example. Be specific if you need people to wear closed shoes or boots. If you're working with hot liquids, make sure to stress this and don't have them come wearing flip-flops. Then, are you going to be providing food? Are you going to be asking people to bring their own sack lunch or packed lunch? Are you providing fruit, tea, coffee? Just let them all know this in advance in your communication, preferably via email. Then, if you are providing supplies for people, is that included in the workshop price that they have already paid? Or do you need them to purchase these on the day? Have you got enough of these? Do they know what form of payment you are going to take? For example, cash, or can they pay using a credit card? So regardless of whether you are providing tools, materials, and supplies or not, you need to have extra with you, because somebody always forgets something and they might need a replacement. They might need to buy something. You just want to avoid friction before you even get started teaching. So set your venue up very early, and I would say several hours before you are due to start. Make sure that if you are eco-printing, that the burner you are using is going to turn on. Optimize your space. What I find, if the workshop is in a smaller venue, sometimes eco-printing, for example, it can be good to have two people sharing a table. So one person can help stretch the fabric and just be there as a technician almost, while the other is laying out their piece, and then vice versa. So if I have quite a small venue and I had 10 participants, I might only have 5 tables for eco-printing, plus a demonstration table for myself and somewhere to have samples. So optimize that space so that before people arrive, you're clear about where they're going to be going. And then plan your timing. You want to break down any learning experience into manageable chunks. Give people an overview at the beginning, and then just make sure that you don't rush ahead. I like to teach in a way that even if you're a beginner or more experienced, I go through everything from the basics upwards, and I always allow longer than necessary for each part of the workshop. Now, I used to do this in the beginning, and I found then I would be rushing and people would get more stressed. So take your time, and people will take longer to do things than you imagine. Prepare for questions. People are going to be asking you questions, and just answer everything in a kind, appropriate way. If people ask questions that are outside the scope of the workshop, this is an important one. I would say just be clear in your mind that you can just say something like, that's a really great question. I'm happy to have a quick chat about that after this class ends. It's not something we're covering in this class, or you can find that information on my website, my YouTube video, or in another course. Don't cut people off immediately, but don't answer loads of questions that are not appropriate to what the class you are teaching is. This is going to frustrate other participants. And there are other things that I recommend you do during the workshop, but I am going to cover those in my next video. So I hope you found those tips helpful to get you organized before a face-to-face workshop.